I didn't know we were officially starting.
So whenever anybody talks, put the microphone in front of your face.
Okay. All right. Here we go. All right.
You want to do it? Whatever. 5, 4, 3.
Hello, everybody listening on the interwebs. I am Chris Gullo, and this is the very first edition of Inside the Empire. If you want to know what Inside the Empire is, we are going to give you the inside inner workings of Empire State Wrestling. We're going to recap history. We're going to recap previous shows. We're going to also talk about future shows. You know, what you're going to be seeing in Empire State Wrestling in the future, what you've seen, and what you want to see. And with me right now is Brandon Thurston.
Hi, Chris Gullo.
Hello, Brandon. We will be normally joined by...
Hey, guys, it's Chris Gullo here. Hope you all are having a good time. Go get some Patron State merchandise over there. It's going hot. It's going fast. Get some, yeah!
We'll be normally joined by DJ Jarka. He cannot make it tonight. And our very special guest this evening is the man that makes it all happen. The man, the owner, the operator of Empire State Wrestling, Brett Mednik.
Hey, Chris, how's it going? Brandon, how you doing?
I'm fine.
All right, it's great to have you here, Brett. And well, like I said, this podcast is gonna, help the fans and the new fans, people maybe never discovered Empire State Wrestling, kind of know what ESW is all about. And well, you're here on the very first episode. What would be like your mission statement for Empire State Wrestling?
It's changed quite a few times. I mean, when this first started, first was like just get people to show up, get the word out, and now it's these crazy ideas are become reality.
When did you start in wrestling?
Started in wrestling myself. It's going 14, 15 years ago. I showed up at the Elders Club, and I was getting clotheslined a lot by guys who really shouldn't have been there. But
So you started training with ESW.
Yeah, I started training with ESW at the time. Danny Magic and Johnny Puma were the masterminds behind ESW, and changed hands a few times. Saw a few different people in control, and it just came to a point where it wasn't funny anymore, and I felt people just weren't enjoying it as much as we could have, and it's time to do something. Let's fix it, and that's where
you're talking about the time in between. So between the time that there were 2 runs in ESW, so the first run in ESW is from 2002 to about 2006, and then the second run of ESW started again in 2009 up to the present. So in that time between like 2006 to 2008 or 9, there was a promotion called NWA Empire running, and basically that promotion ceased to exist after a while, and then that's where you started to become a wrestling promoter for the first time. So why did you start to become a wrestling promoter, and what was going on there, and what was that all about?
Oh, it was just like a weird time, ESW, the first company, I guess you say. It was weird ownership. Like I said, Johnny Puma and Danny Magic were involved, and then they sold to this guy who wasn't even like in wrestling. This guy
talking about Ray Irway.
Oh, Ray Irway.
You want to talk about Ray Irway?
Ray Irway.
How many hours you got? So
we
Ray.
got lots of hours.
We should we can leave all this in too. We should have Ray Irway as a guest on this podcast.
Ray Irway, he's been mentioned on other podcasts as well. I'd like to have him out here.
I was talking to Kay Cassidy the other day because I hang out with him once in a while, and I was like, and like when I hang out with him, all we do is like shoot the shit about like, hey, remember when in ESW? And I was like, and we talk about Ray a lot. And Ray Irway, by the way, is basically a guy who was the ESW wrestling promoter from like 2004 to 2006. And I told him, like, why don't we just call Ray up? Let's just call him and then, like, have a conversation with him. But he was an older guy who was like a former school teacher. It's a long-ass story. We'll get into it someday. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so here you go. But, Ray came out of nowhere. I mean, I don't even know where he came from. It's just, hey, guys.
He was a fan.
Oh, he was a fan.
Yeah.
So he just came out of nowhere, cut some checks, and next thing you know, hey, Ray bought the company. And
cut the check.
He got the check.
Goddamn.
But it was just really weird because there's this guy
outside a tent outside of Happy Jack's. Son of a bitch.
And them are words that actually came out of his mouth a few times. But
fuck psychology.
I can't even do this. All right, let me collect my thoughts.
All right,
but
take your time. $1 million.
All right, so anyways, this guy comes in, cuts a check. You can tell he's a fan. He has no idea how the wrestling business works.
He claimed he was a former wrestler, which I think is not true.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of things. Yeah. Anyways, so this guy is just like, he's spending money left and right on things that we have no idea why.
He gave us a school, like there was an ESW.
Yeah, he was the reason why there's a training school at one point.
Yeah.
He's also a reason why I think he might have actually been funding a promotion up in Canada.
He bought Neospirit as well, which is out of like Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Oh, yeah,
and they've kind of rekindled their promotion over the years too. But he's not involved anymore, as far as I know.
Right. So basically, the story that I got from Puma was Ray had taken it over. Puma was still like the creative control, booking the matches. Yeah. And then Ray fell behind on his bills. Of the school.
Ray stopped showing up to the school.
Yeah, he stopped showing up. He stopped paying for this rent that, we were still going to school and training at every week, a couple days a week. And Puma, because his name was also on the building in some way, gets a phone call from...
Well, somebody gave the landlord Puma's phone number.
Right.
Not me, but someone. Go ahead.
So anyways, Puma freaks out, all this like legal things about, money and they're going to own this ring. So he calls the promoter from Rochester, who's Hellcat, who owns Upstate Pro Wrestling, and says, hey, look, this is what's going on. Whatever Ray did, he's out of sight, out of mind right now. We got a ring, we got all shit, like what do we do? The story Hellcat says is, I got 3 guys, we got in a truck, we went and picked up the ring that night, and we basically cleaned out that building.
This is the night of WrestleMania 25. It was WrestleMania 2008.
Yeah.
We all went to Comics Cafe and watched WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, it was a weird time. And then since that day, it was
I'm sorry, Gullo.
From that day, it was just NWA Empire underneath Hellcat out of Rochester.
Right.
And we knew that he operated different from the way Johnny Puma operated.
Well, the deal at first was that Hellcat was going to run the show, and Puma and Murphy, and I think I was in the room for some of the talks, or we were going to put together the card.
Right, yeah. It started off as like we had this big committee. Everyone, well, not me, but they had this big committee of jobs, and everything was going to be fine. Everything was going to be the same way. And then as time went on, it was...
Well, I think Puma's comedy career picked up.
Yeah, Puma picked up in comedy. Murphy kind of faded away. And it basically went, 100% Hellcat run the whole show, which, understandable. His license, he was the one bringing the ring from Rochester now at the time. But it just, it wasn't ESW in the way that I knew it, the way everyone else knew it. ESW was always a family. It was always like high morale. It was always like, it's not just, oh, hey, man, I'll see you at this booking, I'll see you at the show. It's like, we train once or twice a week together. It'd be like, hey, you want to come over and, watch some tapes? Or, hey, it's Christmas time, we're going to have a Christmas party. It's always been like a tight-knit group, and it was just, it just didn't have that feel. And it wasn't, I don't want to say it was anything that...
And attendance was down.
Yeah, attendance was down. But I think the attendance was down is because guys just didn't feel at home there anymore.
Right.
And they just... I don't know if they felt underappreciated, what it was. It was like a weird time.
I think it's hard to, a lot of local indie promotions they draw tickets from these wrestlers actually selling the tickets. And it's hard for a worker to sell tickets and be excited to sell tickets if, like, for one thing, I don't even know who I'm wrestling, let alone is it a match I'm going to be excited about.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, there's times, this happens at other shows too. I mean, myself in Salamanca and in these road shows, there's times where it's like, all right, who's all here so I can make this card? And that was a lot of times where I feel like, a lot of those Empire shows, there was like maybe 2 or 3 matches set in stone, and then everyone else showed up, and it's like, oh, okay, you're here, you're going to work this. And there's even some times where it's like, oh, this guy was like a face one show, next time you're going to be a heel. There's no like...
You wrestled Kate Cassidy how many times?
I wrestled Kate Cassidy for 2 years straight in some shape, way, or form. And it just... I don't know. It just seemed like the fun came out of it, and it just didn't feel like
you had a falling out with Hellcat at the end of that, at the end of the Empire era.
Oh yeah. Before the end of the Empire era, there was a promotion, NEW. Yeah. They opened up in Rochester.
Yeah.
And Hellcat's main promotion is Rochester. But at the time, he was only, booking me on the Buffalo, where I was a ticket seller and I was an asset, I guess you could say. Even apparently I wasn't that big of an asset. I asked him, I said, hey, this NEW, they actually reached out to me and they said, are you interested in coming wrestling here? Because I was wrestling for this other place, Rock City Wrestling, who had same right. Like higher ups, or I guess you could say they were in charge. Spencerport, the karate dojo.
Yeah.
And stiffest ring in the world.
Oh yeah.
But
that's the worst.
I asked him straight out. I said, hey, Mike, like, is there any chance I can do anything in Rochester for you? If not, I'd like to go, wrestle at NEW. It ain't gonna affect anything I do in Buffalo.
Right.
And he kind of gave me the no, and which is whatever. He has his own, business model, but I didn't really listen to it. I went and wrestled there eventually, and then NEW got approached by a similar version of Ray Irway, a guy with money, and said, we want to do a show in Lockport, which is where I'm from. And I don't know if Mike saw that as like a slap in the face, because I was on the show with NEW from Rochester when Lockport is closer to Buffalo than Rochester is to Lockport. And I don't know if he thought maybe like, why the hell is this guy like setting us up for NEW? Why is this going down? And next thing I know, like
it's like you're helping his local rival move into Buffalo, which he already kind of occupied.
Right, but
well.
we knew what it was. It was a one and done at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he saw it as like a shot at him. To this day, I guess it doesn't matter. And this was going back. I don't even think Facebook was around. I think it might have been like MySpace or like AOL and some messengers.
This would be what year? Probably 07? Oh wait, 07 or 08?
07.
Early Facebook.
I want to say 07.
MySpace
It was 08. It was 08 because I remember it was like the day before Father's Day was my very first Father's Day. So yeah, that's what.
And it was right after I came back from like Air Force Tech School. So
no, you called me while I was in the locker room. Like, hey, how's the wrestling going? Because that was the.
No, I was there. I worked the show.
No, that was one that I actually did promote. The very first one was with Jimmy Snuka.
Okay, I wasn't at that.
Yeah, that's the one where you call me and you're like, oh, hey, what happened with the tag match with Ratsky? I'm like, oh, yeah, Ratsky split his head open. I drove to the Albany Hall by myself and I slept in my car in Syracuse. But and then I had to get back home for the show.
Okay, so I'm confused.
So like you're like literally like talking to me on the phone as I'm like unlacing my boots. I'm like, yeah, me and Cryptic, we just did this huge match and like Snooker's wrestling Nick Paradise pretty soon. I had no voice because first time wrestling at home. I thought it was huge. It was only like 500 people still for.
So this had to be like summer 2008.
May of 2008. It was June because it was Father's Day month.
Really?
Yeah.
I called you from basic training then.
Yeah. You called me randomly from basic training. I was like in the locker room, like, holy shit, Thurston's calling me. What's going on?
Wow.
But yeah, so that happened. And then like I said, now to jump back, it was either like MySpace or like AOL Instant Messenger. I get a message from Mike. You're no longer needed in Empire, and I'm like. Well, is it because of what I did at NEW? Like, and he just would not answer me. Yeah. Like, I felt like I was grounded. I did something wrong. Like, what did I do wrong? But, that's it is what it is. It's done and over with. So, I went and did the show. Another place in Buffalo. It was not very good. Just to, see what else is out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, geez, I guess I'm just wrestling in Rochester now. And I was, going different parts of New York. PWR down in Erie, I was still staying fairly close and wrestling a little bit, but it just wasn't ESW where I started. It wasn't where all my friends were that I first met, and that kind of started to well, how do we fix this? How do we have fun again? And then it was like a snowball effect, and
then we started to have secret meetings at Tim Hortons.
We started having secret meetings at Tim Hortons, talking about these. What could we do to make a promotion fun again, and what could we do to make it better? And Johnny Puma caught wind of it, and it just.
So I think like what happened was that the last NW Empire show that we were all a part of, you were no longer needed by that point. So
no, I actually I bought a ticket to go watch the last show that all you guys were on. I was sitting in the crowd to watch it.
Yeah. And there's a Mastiff versus Jimmy Olsen match in that show that's really good.
Oh yeah.
I remember like standing against the wall and watching that, like really, really good match.
Yeah, it was very good.
But yeah, and then that's where Puma drops the title to Colin. And Colin, I think, had just come back from WWE at the time, and there was kind of a quiet. People kind of knew. We knew anyway. A quiet like we're all gonna leave. And I think like Puma requested to drop the title and stuff. So so that's December, like December 6th, 2008, I think. And I remember the edict like from Puma was we got to run a show before their next show. So January 30th, you got a ring.
Oh yeah, we won.
January 30th was the first NEW Niagara show, which is basically the promotion that becomes the second run of ESW.
All right, so myself, Brandon, and another guy, wasn't even like a worker, just a buddy of mine.
Who came with us? Like one of your friend came with us?
Yeah, one of the guys I like grew up with. So we run a U-Haul, drive to Rochester in a blizzard. We get the truck stuck.
Yeah,
it was quite a nightmare.
Yeah.
We bring a ring back. And
this truck, remember this? The trucks had to like pull us out.
oh yeah, we actually had 2 trucks hooked up to our U-Haul to pull us out of the snow.
We were in some fucking parking lot somewhere in Rochester near a Top supermarket or something like that, and like and NEW guys like helped us load up the ring, and then like we loaded it all up. Yep, we're all good, guys. See you later. See ya. Thanks. Shake hands. And then
Boom, we're stuck in the snow.
And then we're trying to get out of the parking lot, and the parking lot is like a basin. Like you got to go uphill to get the fuck out of it, and we couldn't. We had this heavy ass, I don't know, rider truck or whatever, U-Haul truck, and like luckily some dude with a pickup truck came along with like a strap.
2 big pickup trucks.
And he couldn't do it. Then another pickup truck comes along, and like 2 pickup trucks, like in unison, dragged us out of the parking lot. And that's why we have a wrestling promotion today, is because of those 2 trucks.
Yeah, if it was for them, who knows where it'd be. All the money I had saved up for the rent of U-Haul would have went gone into rent a tow truck instead to get us out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a weird time. Like where it started, I would have never expected to be where it is today.
Yeah. And NEW Niagara was to be a sister promotion of NEW Central, or it was just NEW, and they like sort of rebranded it themselves as NEW Central, and we were NEW Niagara, and they gave us a lot of help. Like we ran under their license for a while, and
right, we were basically like a like NEW or. At the day, like NWA Upstate was the NWA Empire, and NEW Central. But yeah, it was just they were great to help us out. Got us going.
Mm-hmm. And like to make a long story short, eventually things didn't work out with them, and then we hooked up with Warpath from MFW, and eventually things didn't work out with him, and then eventually you just got your own license, and you've been ruling the world ever since, basically, or at least Western New York.
Yeah, I mean it's been a process. I mean one day at a time. I just remember like having a talk with Puma, because Puma jumped on board when this thing first started. I just remember having a talk. It's like let's do something different. Like everyone's just so used to like just throwing a curtain over a doorway and buying like a stereo system. Let's add lights. Let's add like production. Let's like try to do something.
You love production.
I love production. I mean
You love entranceways.
I love entranceway. I love lights. I mean, I go on YouTube and just look at Chauvet lights and see what's coming out. Like, yeah, that's what I do in my downtime, guys. But
and action figures.
Oh yeah, wrestling action figures, my life. That was cool though, because now my son is 9 years old and he's all about it. So it's like,
what's your most prized action figure?
Oh man, my most prized. Jeez, I don't even know. I got this cool like Ringside Collectibles Bret Hart, like in a white and pink box. Like I looked that up on eBay. It was like $175 or something. I paid like $20 for it when it first came out. I actually pre-ordered it, but yeah, that's probably like my personal like most prized one. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you would like to chat with Brett about wrestling figures, what's the forum?
Wrestling Figs, but that's like now we're advanced. We're on Facebook, but yes, if you ever look me up on Facebook and you go through like the things I like, chances are you're gonna see a lot of like action figure pages, because when I need a break from watching independent wrestling and working on ESW, I look into like, let's check out what wrestling action figures are out these days, and it's a cool little thing to take my mind off of stuff.
Yeah. And how old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
You're 30 now, huh?
Yes, and I just stopped wetting the bed.
Nice. I'm 32, and but I think that it's impressive to think like by age 30 you've become a wrestling promoter who's.
I was doing it when if you want to like 21, almost 22 years old was when we made it.
8 years ago.
It was like
You're 22.
I was 22 years old when we got the U-Haul. I was going to purchase a wrestling ring to make this all happen.
But I think that's very impressive, especially like considering like the ages of everybody else who was doing similar stuff. They were all in their 30s and 40s and whatnot. Yeah, and I think that's a real thing. Hopefully, it'll be a real thing that people talk about in wrestling history. Like I know, like for example, Dan Murphy does that book about body slams in Buffalo. And when somebody writes body slams in Buffalo #2, one of the key figures in Buffalo pro wrestling history, I think it's got to be Brett Mednik, Brett Steinus.
I mean, that'd be great to think about. I feel like we gotta do some more things in Buffalo to really cement that in there.
I think we've only just begun.
I feel like we've just begun too. I feel like like your history lessons, all the social media stuff. You're really big on knowing things about this, and you're teaching me and the marketing stuff. I feel like once we get the gears rolling, we get this these upgrades come in on the production and everything. I feel like right now we might be wrestling's best kept secret right now. Not just in Western New York, but maybe even in the Northeast. And we could be comparable with other great places in the Northeast, like Smash, Alpha One, AIW, WrestlePro, all these bigger promotions where it's like, oh, you know what? The CSW, like, why didn't we hear about these sooner? Because, CZW's up there, like, why didn't we hear about these guys sooner? So I think once the word gets out and people start, seeing us from just not only in Buffalo, but all over the, country and other countries, I think it's gonna, the story's gonna tell itself. I think we're really gonna see if we are a fish that can blend in that pond, or are we just a big fish in a small pond of Buffalo.
And I think social media is something that really makes wrestling promotions able to do things that they weren't able to do when we started out, for example. But I've been yelling at you about get with technology or be left behind and stuff like that. And I know I can be brutally honest with you, and maybe sometimes too brutally honest. So,
well, I mean,
I'm glad that you have somebody, because see, when I survey the landscape of wrestling history, I see a lot, or even of wrestling present, I see a lot of wrestling promoters who are probably surrounded by people who tell them what they want to hear. So I would like to justify. I think that I'm glad that you have someone who's so mean to you and yells at you so often, so that you know what the dissenting view is. But.
No, it's definitely good, because you're right. There are going to be people that just want to kiss my ass and tell me what I want to hear, because I think their spot won't be there if they tell me something different. But no, I mean, you being brutally honest is a good thing.
About it, whatever I lose, but yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just you make valid points. Things that I mean, there are. I mean, I'm not going to
but sometimes
deny
it can be just too miserable, and
we're all miserable at the end of the day. There's no. I know, I'm just kidding. I really am happy with what's going on here. It's stressful at times, but and also you can tell there's some things you've told me that I've listened to, but I didn't do nothing about. There's other things you told me and I've done stuff about. So I mean, it's not that it's not going unheard. It's just when we're going to do it, and I think now we're really going to do it. We're really going to do a social media thing, and
in indie wrestling, it's tough. It's tough in this area because we're hindered by the New York State Athletic Commission and all the expenses that they put on us, in my opinion. But and it's tough when you're living hand to mouth, and it's a small business, not subsidized by any larger.
Another thing too that I stress on, and not to take this away from any other promotion. I mean, everyone has their own views and ideas of what they want indie wrestling to be, or what they want to do, the reason why they get into this. But I feel like a big.
We've left Chris Gullo out. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. He's looking at pictures of somebody at Planet Fitness on Facebook.
He's scrolling his fucking Facebook.
Oh, Greg, you're right. Working out at Planet Fitness. All right, Greg. Facebook. All right, Facebook. But anyways, like what I was saying is, I feel like a big wall that we hit. Not only needing to get out on social media is, at one point there was like 7 or 8 promotions within like an hour and a half of Buffalo.
I mean, what year?
Maybe 3 years ago. Like.
Okay.
There's quite a bit. I mean, we could start listing them off if you want to, but at that time,
Do you think there's fewer now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some are coming back for a run. If they stay, great. If they don't, and it'll happen. But I feel like one of the hardest things to do with indie wrestling, if they don't see it on social media, if they just see a poster or someone says something about this wrestling thing, is the hardest part. I feel is getting people in the door and giving them a great first impression. And I feel like there's other promotions, like I said, that just want to throw a curtain over the door and play some music, that don't have production, and even to the point where some guys don't even wear wrestling gear, where it's like if you're putting a bad taste in these fans'
and maybe
mouth,
the wrestlers don't get paid either.
Right? Yeah, wrestlers don't get paid, so wrestlers don't care. But you get these.
Well, and I think the thing is with promoters, it's like these guys, the wrestlers want to live their dream, and the promoters are only too happy to get their ticket sales.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, we all have our opinions, we all have our views. Like I said that, but
I'm sorry for interrupting you. Not sorry for expressing my opinion.
I don't care what you do, kid. But anyways, I feel like a lot of times the first impression is everything, and if you go to a wrestling show and it's not up to par of what you're expecting, or the quality isn't there, and it just looks like ridiculously low budget.
There's the belief that you and Ash have that. If I'm a wrestling fan who's never been to an indie show before, I show up to this indie show and I see it and it's shit, I think that all indie wrestling is shit.
Absolutely, that's what I was getting at. So, I mean, yeah.
I kind of disagree with that, but go ahead.
I don't know. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it depends. If you're an indie wrestling fan, you'll understand it. But if you're like a mainstream that only watches Monday Night Raw on Mondays, it's like, oh, I'll check this out because I have nothing better to do. And you walk in and you're like, you see, oh man, these huge Titantrons and all this cool fancy shit. And you walk in here and there's like nothing. It's like, oh wow, they got a ring, big deal.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you gotta give them some. You know, I mean, it's a total package when you come to our events. It's not just like great wrestling. It's like, wow, it's like a great atmosphere. These guys really get into it. They really want to, you know, they want to give out a good product overall.
But that's a short history of ESW. I've sort of taken over as the host.
Oh no, you were there, so there at the beginning. Well, so like I said, with Empire State Wrestling, we've seen it grow. I've been involved with the company for about almost 4 years now, and just it has come a long way. You've seen changes in the production, the roster, the crowd sizes. Just it's definitely taken a step. I mean, even like right now, we're doing this podcast the night before a show that's going to have about 3,000 people here for the Every Time I Die Christmas show that Empire State Wrestling is helping put on. So, I mean, Brett, did you ever think that, you would see these sold-out crowds at the Johnsburg Fire Hall and 1,000-plus at Keenan Center, when you originally said, hey, I'm going to do this?
I mean, the first time you're in the upstairs of a bar where you're lucky to fit 150 people to, fast forward a few years here to where we are now. And, you're one of the guys you talked to on an earlier basis is Braxton Sutter from Impact, and like all the top guys now from Western New York, and Andy from Every Time I Die. He's a regular now at our events, and just they've been friends for a long time. They go, hey, we got this idea. We want to do this rock and wrestling thing. Like, how do you feel about it? And it was just a snowball effect. We started talking, things started taking off. Andy and Pepper have great connections with a lot of people. They're a huge help in making this happen, and then one thing led to another, and here we are, 3,000 sold out ahead of time, expected for tomorrow.
And we kind of want to talk about what ESW has done. I mean, we're about a month after one of the biggest shows, WrestleBash, which was a big show. And one of the biggest things, Brett, and I think you're probably proud of, is to see that kind of new generation of Empire State Wrestling, which really came out of WrestleBash. We saw Anthony Gaines. He won the Interstate title, his first title reign in Empire State Wrestling. The current tag team champions, the Oliver Street Express, Randy P. and Andy C. And then in the same night, Kevin Bennett wins the Elliot Apollo Cup and the ESW heavyweight title. Kevin Bennett, a young kid who was a fan. Randy, Andy, all of them all bought tickets at one point when you relaunched ESW, and here they're now champions. Worked hard and got to that point.
Yeah, I mean it's Brandon can relate to this, but it's like when I first showed up, you got the you had the Kate Cassidy's, the Randy Walkers, the Jamin Olivencias, all these young kids that were pulling things off, and then it's just almost like a revolving door. This is like the next set to come through and really do things. And these guys, I mean, Kevin Bennett was emailing us when he was like 14, 15 years old. Hey, what can I do? What do I got to do? And he started out holding the camera, same way as Anthony Gaines. These kids just show up and help carry ring boards, and they just want to be a part of it. And they worked hard. They worked really hard to get to where they are, and they're basically now the future of Buffalo. I'm definitely holding it.
I seem to remember like after a setting up the ring one night at Johnsburg or something, we went to a Buffalo Wild Wings afterward, and this would be a few years ago now, and it was like a long table, with people sitting on either side of this long table. And I remember we were sitting sort of at the edge of it, and I remember we were about to leave, and I stood up and I looked down. I was like, you remember what I'm talking about, don't you?
Oh yeah.
This is the future of ESW right here, isn't it, Brett? And do you remember what you said? You said I hope not.
Some shit.
I said, oh God, no.
Don't tell me
wait,
that. You said
wait,
don't tell me that.
Wait, no. I probably just saw you say something like effect, but also for the last 3 years, everyone knows like when something happens, the first thing that's gonna come out of my mouth is these damn kids, because you just you watch them come up as kids, they piss you off, they make you proud, and at the end of the day, you just gotta shake your head and say these damn kids, because they're busting their ass, they're holding things down. Yeah. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, no, a lot of them have come a long way. They still have a ways to go, but a lot of them have come a long way, and a lot of guys that I don't know.
I'm very involved with training and stuff, and I see just for example, Vinny Moon, he's got muscles. They're growing at least. So, and a lot of these guys are getting bigger, and a lot of guys who I thought I don't know what he's going to be able to do in the ring, and now they're pretty good.
So. Oh yeah, that's hands down. I mean, Grapplers Anonymous opened in Lackawanna, and I don't know what their original plans were, but you definitely grabbed the bull by the horns and said, let's make some of this. Yourself and Mikey every night, and I believe Chris has a little bit to do with it, and everything else that's going on. You definitely teach these guys, important things like the cardio, the fundamentals, getting these guys ready to do what they got to do. And it's not like when I first started where it was just some guy said he was a trainer and here, come in and take 8 clotheslines in a row. I don't care how many times I hit you in the face because I'm unsafe, but I mean, there's a big difference in your training compared to what we came into.
Well, independent wrestling, since we started around the same time in 2003. I think independent wrestling, when we started, is very different now from what it was then. So what do you think, other than training, I guess? I think training is a big difference, at least around here. I know training is different wherever you go. Like, for example, I think in Southern Ontario, they have a much better legacy of training that benefits that region for independent wrestling. And I think we've had a weaker legacy of training, and hopefully that's starting to get repaired. But what are some other, like as a promoter, what are the biggest differences from promoting in 2009 versus promoting in 2017?
There's the talent's better. I mean, there's better training. I mean, before, when we started bringing in outside talent, whether they're the big names off of TV or the independents, it was always like, all right, well, we got 3 guys that can work this guy. He's bringing in, they can wrestle him, and now it's like, I don't have that problem anymore. I can almost go through every single person on the roster and say, this guy can hold a match with this guy. It's no more like, if we're bringing this guy, we got to make sure he's having a good match. We got to put him with the same 2 or 3 guys. Now it's like we have a homegrown roster right now, guys from the Buffalo, Western New York area, that they can pretty much carry whoever we bring in, or vice versa. They can pretty much adapt. They can get through with anyone. Whereas 5, 6, however many years ago, it's like, you really want to put that guy in that match? I mean, you sure about that? Now it's like, yes, I'm sure about it. This guy can do it. So it's definitely making show quality better.
I would say too, and I mean, it's my opinion. I would imagine you guys would agree with me that just in 2017, there might not be a boom in the wrestling business as a whole, but there's definitely a boom in independent wrestling business. I mean, and I think social media has a lot to do with it. These guys push themselves harder. They want to they want to look good because there's more than just the local people seeing you. People could see you from California. People see you from England. I mean, guys that, these young ESW kids, they want to wrestle in England. They want to wrestle in Mexico. They want to wrestle in Japan. And you got to look good. You got to work hard, and you got to, make your local promotion, the best it can be. It's not just, you putting in all the work. Now these guys want to help in not just wrestling, but help in production and making posters and stuff like that. I mean, would you say that this is a boom in independent wrestling?
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, there's a lot of guys, can I get, a few copies of the poster hang up? I want to put one in my work. Hey, I'm getting into making graphics for myself. Mind if I test out and make a show flyer for you? I'll give out a spoiler here. Kevin Bennett does all our video work with our production guy, and I mean, you've seen the people that have seen our recap videos. That's all Kevin Bennett's work. He's really good at it, and just a lot of guys are stepping up just beyond the actual wrestling. Guys come early to help set up the ring. They stay late to tear down. Sometimes the venues say, hey, we got to clean. I mean, these guys are pushing brooms even after they're done wrestling. These guys are definitely working hard, and the hardest working guys are getting their moments here. And I'm very thankful to have this. To not have this, who's to say I'd still be doing this? I mean, it's still, it's nothing I believe I could do by myself. It's definitely a big group effort, and everyone goes out there and busts their ass. I tell everyone, they're the reason why the shows are what they are. I mean, I'm the guy in the back doing the boring paperwork. There's no way to deny that. These kids are really busting their ass.
Well, where Empire State Wrestling is, it's gotten to the point where, packed houses at the St. Johnsburg Fire Hall, Frontier Fire Hall, basically sold out shows, and, big names from the independents or have been on WWE and Impact and stuff like that working there. And it's grown pretty fast, in the last few years. But where do you see Empire State Wrestling past now? 2017's ending, where do you see it in 2018 and beyond?
Definitely more social media and internet presence. Like you hit on, social media is huge. These kids want to go everywhere because they see everything happening now because of how big independent wrestling is taking off because of social media and internet. my biggest thing now is to get more things out on the internet. I've said, we're going to be up in production. We just got new cameras. We're going to be working on doing some live video editing. We're going to be looking into video outlets for online sources to see our shows, not just recaps, actual full events. And in 2018, I really want to get us out there. So, if you're listening, tell all your friends about us.
Do you want ESW to become a super indie, and what is a super indie compared to an indie that's not a super indie? This is something that we debate about, and I yell at you about quite a bit. So
right. There's, I guess that's how I see it. Like myself, I want to have fun. A lot of these shows, they get stressful. I've talked to promoters that you can be considered super indie, and some of them are like ridiculously stressed out. So I'm wondering sometimes if it's even worth it, because we're still having fun and we're still growing, and people, to my knowledge, aren't miserable, and people are excited to be here. So let's just keep that going and see what happens. If we become a super indie or a bigger deal, great. I'd love to see it happen, but at the same time, if it doesn't, we're still having fun. Things are still happening. I'd like to feel like we still are like the best thing in the Buffalo area, and that's just going to keep going forward.
I guess so. What's the difference between a super indie and something and what I would call a local indie? What do you consider that?
Well, you could break down quite a few ways, I guess you could say. Like a super indie to me is like, everyone knows PWG, AAW, Evolve. Yeah, Evolve. And then to me, I feel like there's so many like independents out there that people just don't know about. Like for us, for example, I've heard it from, many people that have worked Evolved, worked CZW, all these places that are considered super indies, and they're like, how do people not know about you? Your crowds are huge compared to like what these other guys are doing. Like, why aren't you guys like more known? So that's what I want to do. I want to become more known on the internet, get my name out, and see what happens.
Well, like I said, the future does look bright for Empire State Wrestling, and the next big show for Empire State Wrestling will be the Ring Wars event on January 20th. That's at the St. Johnsburg Fire Hall, and Brett, hasn't been announced yet on any of the social media outlets in ESW, by the way, which is Facebook. Look up Empire State Wrestling Facebook, give it a like, as well as Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. But
at ESW Wrestling on Twitter, at ESW Wrestling on Instagram. We don't really update the Instagram very much, and that's one of those things we're talking about. We should probably do that more. But and we're on YouTube and ESWWrestling.com. You can get tickets right now, order them online, pick them up on the night of the show.
So there's been no announcements as far as match announcements on that yet, and here we are now for the people listening to the podcast. We're giving you kind of an exclusive right here. First time some of the matches for the big Ring Wars event on January 20th.
One thing we're going to have is as we did announce, it's going to be Mark Haskins coming over from the UK. He's going to be taking on actually the guy sitting next to you, Brandon Thurston.
Well, there you go, Brandon. You against one of the best in England, Mark Haskins. What are your thoughts on that?
I've been working really hard at a Grapplers Anonymous. I've been having all the students there help me get my cardio. I've been doing a certain workout every Monday and Tuesday, and then I've been doing like 6 minutes of shoot, 6 minutes of pro wrestling, and then like another 6 minutes of pro wrestling, and then like going a minute longer every week. So I've been doing that for a couple weeks now. I'll be doing that all the way up to January 20th.
Well, that's going to be a good one. A technical masterpiece, and as well as some high fly in there.
Yeah, another one is the new champion, Kevin Bennett. He pretty much is going to grant RJ City his rematch clause after taking the title off his hands, cashing the Apollo Cup.
Yeah, that should be a good one, too. RJ City's reign as ESW Heavyweight Champion was an interesting one. But like I said, the future looks bright. Kevin Bennett's part of that future. But, we'll see if that continues after Ring Wars.
One of the other matches is anyone that watched the Facebook live feed, the Battle Royal that was on it to fix the sixth spot in the Cup match. You saw James Sega eliminate Greg Arnon, but because of the distraction outside, no one saw it happen. So Arnon climbed back in the ring, tossed Sega over the top rope, and then he was granted, to be the winner in the sixth spot. So in January, James Sega is going to wrestle Greg Arnon, try to get some revenge for that.
when you put together the card for ESW, how do you put it together? Who's involved with those decisions?
I ask opinions, I ask ideas, I ask the local guys themselves from Buffalo, like, hey, what do you think about working with this guy? Ultimately, it's usually it's always me. It has the final say. Obviously, I can say yes or no. I listen to guys' ideas. Sometimes the guys will have an idea like, oh, hey, I'd like to wrestle this guy.
Sometimes you have even asked me, like, who do you want to work coming up or something like that.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely been times where I just ask people, hey, what do you want to do? I don't really have anything in mind. Is there anyone you want to try to work with, see if I can get a hold of them? And, it's just one of those things where, if someone gives me an idea, it's like, yeah, I'll entertain it, and not to sound like a dick, but it's like, if it's awful, because there have been some ideas that have been awful, I'll say that's probably not going to happen. But also at the same time where it's like, all right, if you really like this, and I think it's going to be good, and there's potential in it, then I'll say, all right, I might not be able to do it this media next show, but we're going to get to it. We'll make it happen. Just give me time to make it work. You know what I mean? We'll get to what you want. And then people say, people use the term, mark in wrestling. I feel like
customer.
Yes, customer. I feel like I think sometimes like a customer. I know there's some people who are like, oh, I'm a booker. I'm not a fan. I'm a businessman. I feel like sometimes I think outside of the box, and I think like as a fan almost like, will this match be cool to see? Like it looks cool on paper. Like I wonder now if we can make this come to life. And sometimes I think people think like, oh, this will be good just because these two guys are good, and it's like, oh yeah, it could be a good match, but it's like you got to think down it more. Like as a fan, like, all right, do I really want to see that? But then there's that thing. It's like, oh, I wonder if this is going to be good. And you just, there's more than just, there's more that goes into it than just, write this guy's name down. He's going to wrestle this guy, and
well, you have to build storylines. You have to.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt about it. Our fan base and live audience, they love different characters, and gimmicks that people bring, personalities of the event. And I feel like a lot of them get interested and invested into the actual storyline too. It's just, like I said, it's a total package. You just gotta, it's really hard. I want to say it's like really hard, but I notice sometimes I put a lot of effort into like 2 or 3 storylines, and the rest I just kind of float with it. It's not that I mean to do it that way. I get set in my ways on some things. Other things I just kind of play it, show by show and see how the reactions are.
I think it's like it's okay to. I think what I don't need to see as a fan is like a show with every match has an angle. There's some unbelievable thing happening in every match, and maybe for some fans that connects with them. I think for the widest audience, though, I think it's best to do like maybe half a show with angles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, there's like
because that makes the rest of the angles mean more, because some of the matches are a match, and they still have goals about getting people over and stuff, but they're not like angle heavy.
Oh no, I agree. And some of like my favorite things have been, I'm just gonna put these two guys together and see how it goes. And if it's great, we're gonna run with it. And if it's not, cool. You gave me, it was a match. We test the waters.
Yeah. Like, what do you think about this? Like, I think one big problem for indie wrestling and like in promotions like ESW that book indie names, full-time wrestlers that were, fans who are, following wrestling on the internet, they know them. One of the problems is like, okay, if I book this really good indie wrestler against this really good indie wrestler, even it's like, say it's a first-time match, it's going to be great. They perform it, it's a great match. But like, I have trouble as a fan, like thinking about like, well, what are the stakes? And these are indie wrestlers. They travel around the country, around the world. But like, there's no NWA title to unify the stakes, if you know what I mean.
Right. I mean,
so how do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, it could just be as simple as you just want to put that great match on your card. Like we've talked about social media. Also, if you get these two like known independent wrestlers, they're all over the world, and they share your flyer. It's like, hey, I'm wrestling this guy in this town.
The exposure.
The exposure is great. If you got a feature contest like something. But now there's just so many places that are doing it. It's like I used to have a notebook, a first time ever match, like you said, and now it's like my notebook's on like maybe a page, and it's just you got to always stay fresh. And one thing I do, I'm not looking at action figures, and I am focusing on wrestling, is I'm trying to catch these these guys out there on the independents, I feel like are gonna make names for themselves, and try to catch them before that happens.
You're trying to find some. This is what you're saying, is that you're trying to find some guys who are maybe not quite indie names yet, but you think they're on the verge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a few guys that
who's booked on ESW like that who would fit that description.
Right now, currently, Kevin Bennett, absolutely. I mean, granted, he's from here, but I feel like Kevin Bennett, hands down. I feel like that kid could go to any promotion and pretty much wrestle anybody. Entertaining, he's developed huge, like over since when he first started. He's training a lot, hitting the gym a lot. You can just tell he's going to be like one of those guys. It's just a matter of time before he takes off.
I feel like that was part of the reason for booking Alex Daniels for a while.
Oh yeah, Alex Daniels, same thing. I mean, he was traveling with Johnny Gargano.
If he's still wrestling, I heard
he
is.
He came back. He was going to retire. Now he's back. Yeah. I felt like Daniels. I mean, I still feel like he has potential to do that. It just got really weird. I don't know, like if it was like a personal thing going on. Just I tried talking to him last time I was here. Like, hey, these are the dates. Like, oh yeah, I'm done after December. And then just recently he's like, I'm not going to retire. I'm not going to quit. So it's like, hey, I understand, but. And I don't want to say like he blew a shot here, because I mean he can come back, but it's like the time that I was going to put into him, now it's like, all right, I'm going to start from scratch with you. So it's like, you know what I mean? And I can't even be mad sometimes at guys, because there are bigger promotions out there in ESW if a bigger opportunity comes along where they can't be here every show. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like I want to say, hey, look, this is what I was doing before. Or like these guys, like, oh, hey, before you saw me in PWG or Japan or whatever, I was doing things here in Buffalo with these guys.
Well, I think this relates to something on the higher level of wrestling. You hear Triple H, he does these conference calls before the NXT takeovers, where he talks about how he wants to work with people who cultivate talent, not just people who take talent and put them all together on a show. And I think that's why he values like Evolve and Progress, because I guess he feels like these are promotions that are not just picking talent that's already known and good. They're taking talent and helping them make their name through that promotion.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you want to put us on a much smaller scale, I feel like that's what we've done locally with guys like Kevin Bennett, Kevin Blackwood, Anthony Gaines, Daniel Garcia. He's coming up the same way. I feel like that's what we're doing. I mean, we're making the door evolve. It's new generations, new time, new years, younger kids, and you gotta be ready for the future. And I feel like what we're doing, we're definitely showcasing now the next group, and we're not gonna like just make a kid sit in the corner, just because that's what he is. He's a kid, and he's new. If he's good, he's gonna get opportunities.
Do the Kogars fit the description of like somebody who you're booking, because they're from Cleveland, right? And do you see them as, well, these are guys who might catch fire? Is that part of why you book them?
I don't know if it's so much I see them as they catch fire. When ESW started, it was very, how do I put it? It was very gimmick oriented, very character oriented. Yeah. And there are some people that say like, they miss certain characters and certain things. And I feel like the Kogars, they fit what our crowd likes. It's not the everyday like, hey, I'm a pretty boy or basic gimmick or
trunks and boots, I'm a wrestler.
Yeah, trunks and boots, I'm a wrestler. It's something unorthodox, something different. And like even like when I talk to brother Christian, hey, what should we do? It's like, when you talk to these guys, I try to talk to them. It doesn't really go too far because he says it's from Cleveland and, here and there type stuff. I try to tell them, like, you guys have that gimmick. Like, watch your wrestling, start your tapes, but, like, watch, like, actual movies, to establish more of your gimmick. Yeah. Like, the moves, for ESW, your moves are, like, a fucking teaspoon of what your gimmick is for our crowd. Our crowd is vested in your character. I mean, a similar instance, this is going back to 1980s style type of gimmick, but I'll name drop here Brian Plunkett. When he first started, it was rocky when he first started. He did a hillbilly gimmick, and I told him, like, Plunkett, just bear with me, dude. Your gimmick is over. They like seeing you do the line dance or whatever the hell you do. The do-si-do, clap, act like an idiot.
Plunking and stacks, Daddy.
Yes, plunking and stacks. Like, I said it in the nicest way possible. It doesn't matter. You could do a double moonsault. The people that are watching you do not give a shit. They're invested in your gimmick. I said, just be patient with it. And I don't know if it was just like, maybe I told him to be patient way too long, but it was just like I didn't take it as like a slap in the face, but it was like nah, I'm just bored. I'm not going to do it no more. And he changed up his look. I mean, he went to Monster Factory out in Jersey, which is great for him. It's a great school. It has great history, producing some bigger names in wrestling. But it's just like the kid was so over, and there was potential to do more stuff with him and get to where he wanted to be. But at the time, it wasn't. It wasn't right. He definitely needed more training, and the crowd was like into the gimmick. My favorite person to hit on this and understands it, their gimmick and how to work it, that started fresh is Frankie Feathers. I feel like same thing. He may not be the all-around best wrestler on the crowd, but the crowd loves him. He knows his gimmick. He knows his points, how to do it. He's like study things. He listens to other guys, and he's one of those people that can. I feel like I can go to a show anywhere. And when his music hits, he knows his gimmick, and I feel like people will get into it.
Yeah, he's a guy who's got a look at this point. He's got an act. And I think that's a big thing. Like indie wrestlers, maybe myself included, you need to have an act, and maybe you don't yet. And I think Frankie Feathers got a great act that can get over instantly anywhere.
Yeah, 100%. Any event, like we have a new event, a new town coming up in April. He's hands down like one of the first 5 people I thought of. Like this person has to be there.
Where are you running in April? Do you want to say?
Yeah, that's the only people that are listening. We will be in Medina, New York on April 28th.
Venue?
We will be at the fairgrounds in Medina. It might actually be Albany. It's a 4-H, and we're actually raising money for...
not Albany, New York.
Albion. I'm sorry.
Albion.
Albion. I'm not too sure how to pronounce it.
Is that near Medina?
Yeah, it's right next door to Medina.
Okay. If you say so.
But we're raising money for the fire hall out there, the actual local fire company. We're going to have an event. And another spoiler, we actually have Gangrel from WWE coming in for that one.
Who's he going to wrestle?
Well, I just have to wait and see.
Okay.
And, we talked about that new generation right there. James Sega, a young up-and-comer getting a chance against Gregory Iron, a national independent star.
Right, and then another up-and-comer, Kevin Blackwood. He's raised some eyebrows lately. He's really taken off very well. He's actually going to go one-on-one with Sean Carr, who has been making some noise on the independents lately. Sean Carr, actually, if you guys have time, depending on when this gets posted, he's actually wrestling Austin Aries December 30th out in Binghamton for Excite Wrestling. Great promotion also to follow.
Yeah, this will be out by then.
So, if you guys get a chance, check out Excite. I mean, Sean's having huge matches out there. I believe he's a heavyweight champion actually out there. And, Sean's one of those guys who's been, doing really cool stuff. And, it's so hard to try to get, so many guys through the door here. And he's been someone that we've been trying to get, and dates are finally lining up, and I'm happy to have him aboard.
Yeah, he's hardworking. He's humble. I mean, he's definitely one of the most fun guys I've seen in the ring in a long time.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And another thing,
Blackwood?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Blackwood, I mean, here's someone, I mean, not even, a few months, I lost track, maybe not even a year, and, he's qualified in the Apollo Cup. That's, the match that,
He had his first match September 30th, 2016 in Salamanca.
Oh, yeah, Salamanca, yeah, that's right.
He wrestled Falco the next day on October 1st.
Right, yep.
I looked this up recently. You can tell.
Okay. Yeah, I can't keep track of all this stuff. I probably should, though.
Yeah, he trained with us. He's a from-scratch Grapplers Anonymous trainee who's doing very well. He's wrestling in Smash Wrestling in Toronto, and he's wrestling in some other places, too. He's starting to get some traction.
Yeah, he definitely started out with you, and you definitely got him off on the right track.
I told him to get bookings for months before he got any bookings, too.
Right.
That was a really long time ago.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to see what he brings to the table, too. I mean, he's just getting started. He's doing great things already. But yeah, he's, like Brandon said, he's Buffalo homegrown, right out of Grapplers. I'm really looking forward to that match.
Yeah, he's a natural, and there's a lot of fans that are digging what he's putting out there. So
right, some other Buffalo hometown things going on here. Braxton Sutter, Pepper Parks is however you know him as. Actually, him and Andy Williams from Every Time I Die are actually going to be debuting as a tag team. The Butcher and the Blade on January 20th. Their opponents are going to be named the night of the event, but they definitely asked me, we've been really wanting to do this for a while. Is there any way we can make it happen? We want to do it in our hometown, so absolutely we're going to make it happen.
That's big news right there. The Butcher and the Blade, as a team making their ESW debut there, and whoever you throw at them, Brett, I'm sure that's going to be a match.
Which one is the Butcher?
A big
Which
one.
is the Blade?
The Butcher is Andy Williams.
Okay.
And the Blade is Braxton Sutter. And you know, we talked about Braxton. He's another one that, you know, has been a locker room leader and really kind of, you know, stepped in to help develop a lot of the young guys as well and helping out.
Oh yeah, he's helping out big time. When I believe one night a week, just one night a week. Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday night.
Every Wednesday he helps out at grapplers. He's basically getting these guys after Brandon's teaching them the fundamentals and helping them, you know, after Brandon's getting them started out.
I get them to we do I go through fundamentals with everybody for if a given trainee actually shows up 3 or 4 days a week. I go through fundamentals with them, get them to the point where they're ready to have practice matches, and the guys still have practice matches on my days too. I explain to them match psychology, and we have practice matches with them, and we give them critiques and everything. And so Wednesdays are about people who are at least match ready, and a lot of active wrestlers, like I said, and they're working with Braxton Sutter, and they get a lot of feedback.
He also tries to get all the guys to the gym one day a week, and they actually go and lift weights together too. Yeah. So that's huge. I mean, no one's ever really, you know, took guys to a gym before. You know,
and for any wrestlers in the area, in the Buffalo area, or even Rochester, or Erie, or Canada, or wherever you may be listening to this, we're trying to build a community of wrestlers that help each other out, that motivate each other, you know, that give each other feedback, that help each other with connections and promotions and stuff like that. So I would really welcome anybody who is anywhere within a driving distance of Buffalo to come to us and be a part of it.
All right, and what else are we going to see at Ring Wars?
Well, I'll tell you what else you're going to see. You're going to see Brian Cage.
Yeah, I mean, but Brian Cage actually personally one of my favorite national independent stars. I mean, he's a big guy, but he can do it all. He can have matches with, you know, cruiserweights. He can have matches with some of the biggest, you know, guys in the business and put on a great show. And I'm glad he's getting to bring that to Empire State Wrestling. And I know that his opponent will, you know, be named later.
Oh yeah,
whoever
we want to make sure we're still looking to see who we want to have compete against them, because I mean, when we bring these guys from out of town, we want to make sure they can have the best match possible.
Okay. Anthony Gaines is the new ESW Interstate Champion. I've heard he's doing something with the belt. What do you know about it?
He basically said, I got this new attitude, I got this new look, I'm your new champion, and I'm going to give you a new belt. I want something that really captures me, the person that's the champion. He was talking about adding a customizing title to fit Anthony Gaines' present day. So I'm kind of excited to see what he's talking about. At the same time, I'm kind of nervous, you know, this attitude change. So
you're nervous about what he's done to the belt? Maybe he's spray painted it.
Yeah, it could be spray painted. It could have a mohawk down the center. It could have, you know, studs down the belt. Now who knows? Yeah. It could look like anything if he's gonna compliment himself now on it.
Yeah. I don't know where the fuck we are. We're in a break room.
We're in the back room of Riverworks. We actually just got done setting up a ring for a big show tomorrow.
Yeah. And here we are. There's like a cement.
I'm pretty sure everyone else left too. We're the only ones here with a couple employees.
But this is a great venue, isn't it? It's like this place is good for wrestling. I think the people who run this place really want wrestling here. Are you ever going to run a big ESW show here?
I'd love to, but I mean...
I'll tell you the answer. You should.
Yes, I should.
Yeah.
And all I can say is we'll see what the future holds. I mean, tomorrow will be the first time we do this Every Time I Die Christmas show. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll kick off. Maybe we'll turn to a yearly thing, and maybe we'll turn into more than just the Christmas time.
Yeah. I've always felt like for independent wrestling, it would help independent wrestling to grow if there was a big show or a regular promotion running in downtown Buffalo, and we're pretty close to downtown Buffalo here.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, like
we've always running Lockport, the Keenan Center for some reason. Do you know why we've been running all the way in Lockport? People are always like, "Oh, is this one in Lockport? Oh, that's such a long drive, though."
I don't think it's that long.
Where are you from?
Here we go, Lockport. It's just, you know, you grew up there, you know the town, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's like a war. If you indie wrestling is like a war in that you have to be on your own territory. The people who are on their own territory have the advantage, and I think that's why a lot of wrestling history in this area has played out the way it has.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, because of, you know, Lockport, I feel like more people are like, oh, it is back in Lockport because we always do put on a bigger event when it's there, and people always know, like, we don't even care what's announced yet, we need tickets.
There are people for whom a show being in Lockport
is
an advantage in terms of selling.
I feel like
they're closer to it.
I feel like the town, the venue itself.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going back to Lockport. Okay, when can I have tickets?
Yeah.
Like when the tickets go on sale. Before we're even saying like, oh, we got a special guest come town. Like, oh, when can I get tickets? Do you have tickets? Like it's become a thing where it's like we're going to Lockport, we know it's gonna be something good.
Yeah.
Or every November, we know it's like we want to.
And running new venues can be hard. Like, remember the first time we ran back at the Frontier Fire Hall? We'll end in a second. We ran in Frontier Fire Hall for the first time in like 10 years or something like that. And the draw wasn't that good, but we've been back there. We just did WrestleBash there, and the attendance was really good.
Yeah, our first show back, I mean, we had a great lineup too. We had
Hurricane and Adam Cole.
We had Hurricane Helms. We had Adam Cole. We had Zach Gowen and Greg Arden teaming up.
Yeah.
And
the draw was like under 300. It was bad.
It was like 270, and we're like, oh shit, we're glad we didn't do anything big here.
Yeah.
Anything even bigger than that, because that was already a big lineup. And then it was weird. And then like this, not even a month ago, we're there, and we're at like max capacity, like 570 people, like to the point where it's like you can't move without hitting the person next to you. Yeah. So I mean, it just goes to show you, like, the time of year and how much we're growing and evolving, how great the word's getting out. Our wrestlers too from Buffalo, they do a great job just getting the word out, promoting themselves. They help with selling tickets. They help promoting. It's just we just got a total package here in Buffalo. It's really a great place to be.
I think it's only going to grow as we get more wrestlers and as we train people maybe more in Grapplers Anonymous. As time moves along, we'll have more and more wrestlers to give you. You're welcome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's another thing to look forward to. So there you have it, folks. A stacked card for Empire State Wrestling Ring Wars.
I don't know how I almost forgot this. Current CZW champion Ricky Shane Page will be there also.
All right, there you have it, folks. Ricky Shane Page just retained his title recently as well, the CZW heavyweight champion. I mean, just a stacked card there, Ring Wars, and there's going to be plenty of surprises as usual at Empire State Wrestling. As we wrap up here, Brett, you have any final thoughts, final comments here on the first episode of Inside the Empire?
No, I'm happy you guys thought of me to be on the very first episode. That's great. As you guys could tell, I was nervous. I had no idea what the hell to expect here. But
we'll have you on again.
Oh, you'll have me on again?
Probably. I mean, why not?
All right. Well, in that case, buy a T-shirt because the funds help.
Yes, there's a 100% Action by Volume T-shirts that you can get. Nobody listening now is going to hear this end of the show tomorrow, but on January 20th, you can get them. You can order them online.
Also, though, we're going to have a debuting T-shirt in January, and if you saw our poster,
that's right.
Ring Wars is kind of I don't know, how would you say it?
It's a Star Wars reference.
It's a Star Wars reference, and I hear there's going to be a T-shirt there in January. I guess you'll have to be there and see.
I heard somebody.
And it's only going to be ran one time. It's not going to be made multiple times.
Limited edition.
Limited edition. Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Somebody gave you a design for a T-shirt like 7 years ago, and this might finally be the payoff of that. Is that true?
Yes, this is true. I changed the colors on it, but yes, it's the same exact thing.
So is the person who came up with that design, that piece of intellectual property, you might say, does that person get any kind of royalty for the sales of those items?
They get 100% cotton T-shirt to cover their back.
Like I said, the ESW shirts. Make sure you go to Facebook, like Empire State Wrestling, ESW Wrestling on Twitter, ESWWrestling.com, as well as on Instagram. Tell your friends if you like anybody that likes wrestling. So hey, come to a show here.
If this goes up before Christmas time, it's the holiday season, give the gift of wrestling. Buy some tickets and stick in your stocking, or just stick the receipt, because if you buy them too late, I can't mail them to you. But print off the receipt, stick in your stocking, and say, here, you're gonna go check out wrestling on January 20th.
It's the perfect stocking stuffer. So Brett, thank you for coming on the show there. Brandon, thank you being the my right hand man for this. DJ Jarka, we'll have him on the next episode. Look forward to it. I'm Chris Gullo, and this is Inside the Empire.
We'll probably do this once per event, like before each ESW event. Right? Sorry, did I just ruin your sign off?
That's all right. Yeah,
Well, that's the case. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, like I said, thank you, Brett Mednik, for being here. Thank you, Brandon Thurston. Like I said, we're going to do this, before every event happens there, to kind of give you fans out there. We want to thank you for being the fans. Give you guys kind of an inside scoop and give you some exclusives of what's going on. We're going to have ESW stars and much, much more. So I'm Chris Gullo, and this is Inside the Empire.